It must be fascinating to be in on all of these town hall meetings. One of the things I was in a discussion with several weeks ago with someone is it possible to be liked by all the countries and still be the world's superpower, military superpower? Mm-hmm. Does that come into your discussions?
Well, I think yes, it does. I mean, I think people are very concerned about our image, image in the world. And I made a note again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm making notes as we go because your points have brought things out from the conversations I've had. That one of the things people talk about in resurrecting our image, but to get to the point you're now talking about, is that we need to walk our talk. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of it has to do with, well, if you're the superpower. And we all know you have certain interests, and people, I think, pragmatically recognize the U.S. has certain interests that, say, Guatemala doesn't have, or Mexico doesn't have, or Russia has. We all have different interests in countries. Different regions are important to us. Different alliances are important to us. Maybe our people trace our heritage to a certain country, so we have a different perspective on things. But it's really about how we go about achieving those interests in the world. Mm-hmm. Do we work with other people? Do we? The president now proclaims that he's going to approach the Islamic world with a spirit of mutual respect, and as he said in his inaugural address, reach out his hand, and if they're willing to reach out his hand. So I think there's an acknowledgement amongst a lot of the world, and I think people in these forums have kind of acknowledged this as well, that we are who we are. There's mm-hmm. kind of no going around that. But there is a way we can go about it.
I don't think anyone that I know argues that they want their country to be the military superpower. America, for all of its failings, I think we're all taught to be tolerant above everything else. I mean, tolerance. The guy with the most tolerance is the guy who should have the most military power. Don't you think? The guy who's not going to pick some random reason to go into a country, political.
Right, and be reasonable and have a rationale. I mean, one of the things that came out at last night's forum with the diocese was someone said, even if we're to be intervene with on for matters of genocide or whatever, we should have the international approval of other countries. Not necessarily that we have to go get a checklist and have everybody check off on our activities, but that we do it. We consult with them. That we, go to the United Nations and get authorization, that way it has a legal basis. Mm-hmm. That way we have support behind it, mm-hmm. And I pointed out the fact that, with the superpower, there's a flip side to it, which is that many people in the world, and I think particularly because of how the Bush administration went about their policies, would criticize us because of as a superpower. But there are things that as a superpower we can do that other countries can't do, mm-hmm. and in fact won't do, and so that the world can criticize us for starting a war against Iraq, but we're also the first military force on the ground with a tsunami in Southeast Asia. Mm-hmm. So there are responsibilities and powers and that we alone can do that other countries can't do, and it's a complex thing, and I think by and large, the forums that we've had so far, all 9 of them now in the 3 communities, people have spoken to that and addressed it.
The Somali pirate issue, remember that, Rick?
Yeah.
I think there was a collective hooray, and that's one of these things where America went in and without any fanfare, and they rectified a situation that I think universally, unless you're a pirate, this needed to be done. I mean, 3 quick shots, 3 dead pirates, and danger averted for the people in the boat, whether they're Americans or Germans.
There couldn't have been a better first show of force for the Obama administration than that one.
I don't think anybody in the world would say, that's how you should use your force.
Other than the 3 dead pirates, it was a win-win situation. I mean, it had to be done. Something had to be done.
And the United States is probably the only country that could have done it.
Well, the French actually have been attacking the pirates as well, but I think your point is a very good one, which was and it gets back to my point about how we do things in the world, which mm-hmm. is the president didn't gloat about it. In fact, they issued a statement, but he didn't make anything about it. It was a very measured response to the force. They shot these people who were actually holding someone and, is, according to the commander on the scene, threatening to kill him. So it was, again, how we go about what we do in the world. And in fact, there are I think over a dozen countries with navies off of Somalia right now. So there's international legitimacy to what we're doing to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm. Will, where are you from originally? Is it Washington, D.C. or somewhere else?
Northern California. I'm a Westerner.
A Westerner,
Yeah.
and you look pretty young. How old are you?
I'm 45.
45. So what brought you to Washington? What's your background, your degree?
I'm somebody who loves history and politics, and so it seemed to be the place to go, but I'm always trying to get back to California. So this is pretty close.
Yeah.
I'm getting out there.
But, yeah, it's a different economy, different life.
Yeah, it's a little drier, too. But.
What university did you graduate from?
Santa Clara University, and then in Washington I did graduate studies at American University.
And what are your degrees? Degrees?
Political science, and then the master's degree was in international affairs, in U.S. foreign policy.
And your family, do you travel with them, or are they back
Oh
in
no,
Washington?
I'm alone on this trip. It's this is work. This is work. So.
Now, when you're out and about, do you get a general sense of relief from people that not so much that they agree with what Brock's doing, but there's change, and how do you, if you do, how do you quantify that with your project?
Well, I don't know if it's a relief, but I think there's a sense that we're getting it. I guess there is some relief. I think that there's a sense of turning the page. There's a sense of dealing with realities rather than projections of what and what I mean by projections is notions in the world about we need to bring democracy here, or this person is a tyrant, or kind of an absolute approach. This person's our enemy, the axis of evil, as you mentioned, Rick, and that we're actually going to be looking at. As far as we can tell from the first 90 days of this presidency, or what we've had, that we're going to be dealing in much more measured ways and much more realistic ways. And I think people are, but there's a lot of apprehension because we have a financial crisis, we have we're fighting two wars, and so I think people are very at the same time very grounded.
Mm-hmm. We've been talking a lot internationally, but locally, when you started this conversation, you said that a lot of people thought that we need to take care of things locally. From what you gather, how are people viewing what seems to be a policy, and that is converting everything to sort of these alternative fuels and that sort of thing?
Well, again, we're asking for people to focus on goals in the world.
Okay.
Energy independence is certainly one of them, and so that has come up in the ways. In fact, just last night, one of the attendees was somebody who worked at NASA and was talking about some technologies. And again, this gets back to the pragmatic kind of nature of Americans. We say we have these capabilities, we have we have this knowledge, we have this resource base, we have these technologies. Let's put them to use.
Yeah. I don't think the new kind of energy that we're seeking out and trying to convert to became a real issue. I think global warming wasn't doing it. I think what really did it was people now are sensing that it's a national security issue.
Yeah.
They don't want to have a country that may not like us having control of our fuel.
Yeah, and it's also the president at least has portrayed it as a jobs issue as well.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate your time. We don't have much. Rick, do you have any last comments to Will?
No, I do. It's very interesting what you're doing. I'm looking forward to the synopsis, the final report, which is really basically, what Americans are telling you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you really do have a diverse parts of the country you've gone to. So I'm fascinated to see that. This has been very
It'll be interesting to see for people to read that stuff in the words of Americans and then compare it to what our political leaders are doing and saying, well, this guy's obviously following his own drummer.
Are they listening? Yeah. It'll give us
Yeah.
the template of what America thinks, and then we'll listen to what the politicians are saying.
That's what we intended. That's what we intend.
That's great.
And so we hope to have the report completed and launch it in the first half of December.
Okay.
Hopefully in time for the President's State of the Union address to hopefully influence that.
You have my email, so hopefully you let me know, and I'll let the listeners know. Thank you so much. And Rick, thank you so much for sitting in. Your questions are very good. I hope you have a safe trip back to Rockford, Illinois. And who knows, maybe you get back there and you're going to start your own radio show.